Hey everyone, I'm Cameron Tyndall, and I've never done one of these types of videos on this channel, but I want to start looking at other soundtracks and maybe seeing any lessons that we can learn together. So if you have any, ideas for a soundtrack or a song that you want me to react to or to analyze, just let me know in the comments. And let's start with the first one I have for today, which is a song from Super Mario Galaxy called Buoy Base Galaxy. This one I think is underrated because in the game, it only plays for 2 different missions. And honestly, it should be against the law because this track there's just so much to talk about. I'll have to stop myself from talking about how awesome it is because there's so much going on that you just don't hear the first few times you listen to it. And that's what I want this show to be about, is kind of just looking at soundtracks and analyzing what actually makes them sound so great. So whether you're a musician or you're just really into soundtracks and music in general, hopefully you find something interesting in this series. Okay, so let's start this. I'm gonna grab my headphones for the best quality. Okay, so that intro is pretty simple. All that's pretty much going on there is we have this bass note at an E, while we have an arpeggio going up from E, A, B, E, and then again. While we climb up like that, and then we're in A minor. So at first you might think that we're like in E minor, but then we're in A minor after that. All of the Mario Galaxy soundtracks have a big grand intro and you never really know where you are, and then it settles on a point where it's doing this. And I say A minor, but so far it sounds A major. Let me play that for you. In that second part, we go into A minor, so A major, A minor. So that establishes our home base for now. Of the horns. So, very simple. We have a melody that goes. So the melody sounds like A minor, except we have this, we're like in a Lydian mode almost. The Lydian mode, you just take your major scale, but you raise the 4th so that it almost sounds dreamy almost, as some people call it. So we're in A minor, it seems, but we have this. Which, if it was in A minor, we would just hear which to me sounds kind of off, but maybe because I'm used to this song. And then we climb up, repeating the same rhythm, but we say something else. And we end in this, I think it's E major. So I don't know that it ever resolves. And then, this is where it gets crazy. Okay, that's really awesome for this reason. So you feel that it's getting grand, almost like the stakes are being raised. And you think, oh, that's just because they upped the octave with the horns and they have the trumpets, I think, come in. But there's actually a lot more going on in the music. The harmony and the melody actually changes too. So here's the first statement that we heard earlier. Right? The second time it comes in with like the higher trumpets and stuff, you actually hear this. Sounds very similar. However, I changed one note, and that is instead of an A, we go E, B. and that kind of feels like more serious because it's tighter together, and I'll show you what it does in the harmony, but for now, that's important. We go from to... Here's what the harmony does. It's really interesting. C, D, and then E sus, I think. And then we're stuck in E, and we're in E minor now. So it stays in that E. It's almost like it's stuck. So we start in A, C, we're climbing up. And you would expect us to go back to A minor, but nope. We stay in E, and then when we hit this note, you get this juicy F major 7, which sounds super dire. It sounds like it sounds like the whole time we've been building up. And then the second phrase, you're like, okay, let's repeat that, but no, we are up here, and it just gets even more serious after that. And then finally going down. Well, spoiler. And now we end in the E, and if this is the A minor scale, then that is our 3 major, but it kind of plays as a 5 for the next part. After that, we climb down here, and now we repeat that second phrase from the first part again. However, we change again 1 note. So do you remember earlier I was saying the Lydian note, it feels bright, almost dreamy. So if we did that again, it wouldn't work with the chord they chose, which is, we're in this B, this is a B flat 6. So if we did this again, just listen to this. We have the B flat with that. That doesn't sound good. That, at least not what they're going for. So since this sounds like, you know, the brighter feel, what if we dropped it down to the natural F in the A minor scale? So this B flat major is what we call a non-diatonic note, because it's outside. They're either called borrowed notes or a non-diatonic note, and basically they go outside of the scale to bring in some textures from other scales for more diverse feelings. And so we have this, and even though this is not natural, even though this is natural, it isn't what we did earlier when we were in the Lydian scale. So now we have... And again, this feels like almost like a resolve, but it turns into a 5 for the next part in A. So we're completely changing key now. Actually, you hear that D there? It makes it an E7, which with horns, for some reason, just crunching those horns together. This is a piano. I think I can change it to horns on there. It just adds like a very crunchy feeling, and it works with strings too, but there's something with the horns that makes it just feel so majestic. So I think that's pretty cool that they chose not to just resolve it, and they have that D there to give it more of a feeling like, yeah, we're going somewhere else. And if it wasn't for that, maybe it would feel more like resolving on a new E, since we go like that, but instead it's a... So where are we going? Next part of the song. You hear that synth? It sounds like space almost. Okay, that's just, oh my goodness, it's so beautiful. You have this theremin almost, and it sounds alien-like, kind of reminding you you're in space. We have A. But now we're in F, like what? Like, so they're throwing you off so much, because it's like you're in B, E, nope. You're in E7, and then it's like A. Okay, finally we found a place to rest. Just kidding, we're going back to our original scale, and you're in F now. Well, you're in A minor, playing the 4, and then you climb up to the 5, and back to A. And at this point, you've lost trust. You're like, there's no way this is the home. And then I keep spoiling this song. Sorry, I'm getting into it. G, and you're like, you're on home base, but this time you don't trust it. And now that feels like home base. But that was a 4, and it's so crazy. So let me try to break this down. In A, and again, you're like, no way. And now, okay, sure, fine, we're back in A minor, climbing up, and then you can feel that it's going to be a major again by that point. But that's actually a 5 for our next chord, right? But what is a random E doing here? And then you go, that feels like a 3 minor. So no, that D was actually a 4, climbing up with this very classic Japanese chord progression right there. And again, I'm spoiling it. And then you have, you're in G now, or you're not in G, you're on G now. And then where does it go after that? Back to A major. So, okay. It depends on how you determine that, because now that I'm thinking about it, you go bum bum ba ba bum. I don't know, maybe it kind of feels like a 4. Do da 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 da. Let's see where it goes next. Back to D. I love that. It's called a pedal tone, which is where you take the bass and now it doesn't matter what we're doing over here. We're keeping the bass the same. That's called a pedal tone. And that's exactly what they're doing with the... So in here, I think you're in D. So at the second time coming around, instead of the... You have the... So now you end on that like bad note almost. So earlier it was just to use as a part of the phrase. Now they're making it the point of the phrase. And where does that lead us? E. And is this our new pedal tone? Not exactly. So now we raise the stakes again. Okay, so remember we were down here in D. Sounds pretty bright. The next time around, we're doing a similar thing as the... But instead of starting on the 5, we're starting on the 6 and then going down up to the minor third of E. And then we climb up again. Do you remember earlier we did that and it feels like serious. It feels like, you know, the stakes are being raised. We do that again. To this, and that's where the song loops. So you climb up, that arpeggio that's like. And that's where it would go back into. The rest of the song, it does the whole thing again, except it does add that like repetition. That sounds really cool. So that is Buoy Bass Galaxy. In my opinion, it's underrated, but when you really break it down, there's so much effort into each chord, each melody, movement, and change. Like, it's just very dynamic. It sounds like hopeful, yet you're in a situation where pretty much every move you make could be the fate of the universe. And I think they capture that not only with the instruments, but with the harmony and the melody itself. Also, the marching military vibe is just really cool in my opinion. So this is the first of my videos. I started with something pretty easy, pretty simple. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if you hate it. I want to know how I can get better at this. I feel like my thoughts might have been scrambled sometimes, but I decided to just post a video and not overthink it. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.